You guys ready? Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today at Louisville Metro Hall. There's a lot going on across the city, and so today we're going to break our weekly press conference up into two sections. The first, we'll talk to some matters regarding the aftermath of the tragic plane crash that happened a few weeks ago and how we're moving forward as a community together. We'll break and take questions about anything related to that, and then we'll go on to the second part of this weekly press conference, which will talk about our agenda for the upcoming legislative session in Frankfurt in the General Assembly. In the days and weeks following tragic UPS plane crash flight 2976, it has been incredibly heartwarming to see the outpouring of support from every corner of our community, from really all across the country and all across the world. One new little tidbit of information that just is one of many reflections of this outpouring of support is on GoFundMe. Over $500,000 has been raised across the country, across their platform, to support victims, people who lost their lives that were grade A auto parts, others, victims and their families. There have been hundreds that have come together to provide food for the first responders. And we've seen support in ways large and small from all across this community that has been truly heartwarming. And today, we're proud to announce that in partnership with Teddy Abrams and the Louisville Orchestra, we'll be presenting a free tribute concert for the entire community following the tragic loss of UPS Airlines Flight 2976. These past few weeks have been an incredibly difficult time for our entire community, and nobody should have to go through this tragedy alone. To the grade A auto parts family, to the survivors, to their families, to their colleagues and customers, to the heroes who saved other lives and helped them get to safety, to the UPS family, the families of the victims, to our other valued employees of UPS who have bonded together in strength following this tragedy. This concert is an opportunity to bring our entire community together, to show our support for all of you, to pay our respects to those we've lost, to recognize the bravery of our first responders and other heroes, and mourn together as a community, to join together with music, to move forward with strength. This free concert is going to be on Thursday evening and is free to our entire community. We hope everyone joins us. It will take place Thursday, November 20th at 7 p.m. in Whitney Hall at the Kentucky Center for the Performing Arts. Doors will open at 6 p.m. The concert will start at 7. Again, this is a free concert to hear the Louisville Orchestra perform for everyone. There will also be free parking available that night. We've made the Park Riverfront Garage, located at 141 North 6th Street, just behind the Kentucky Center, free for the evening so that people can enjoy this entire evening for free. I really want to give a giant thanks to Teddy Abrams, Jordan Harris, the board chair, and everyone at the Louisville Orchestra for their gracious offer to have this remembrance concert to support those who are grieving, to bring strength and togetherness to our entire community. And please join me in welcoming Teddy Abrams.
Thank you, Mayor. We are very proud to be able to work with so many partners, of course, Metro government and UPS and so many others that have come together to make this concert possible. It seems like in moments like this, when the community confronts a tragedy and a challenging period, it is incumbent upon all of us, and especially our institutions like an orchestra, to step up and do whatever it is that we can to offer something that helps us heal, that helps us find that communality and the space together where we can both confront the challenges, but also find a certain peace and healing. And of course, music is the language that does that best. And it was an obvious thing that when we see something like what just happened to our community, we reached out and offered our music because it's what we can provide. And I believe that this is a moment for the community to join together in remembrance, memorialization, and tribute to the people that lost their lives. So the concert is a combination of spiritual music, reflective music, contemplative music, but all music that's deeply beautiful at a time when that's a reminder of the strength of our community, the strength of the things that actually bind us and bring us together, and hopefully it begins the healing process in a way that lets us all move forward together and remember the members of our community that lost their lives and the first responders that serve us so graciously. So we're very much looking forward to seeing all of you at the performance, and it's, as I said, a deep, deep honor to be able to offer this music. It's what we can provide at the orchestra, and it's an honor to serve our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Teddy. Thank you so much to the Louisville Orchestra. There's more information available on the Louisville Orchestra website. People can register on that website, but it is not required. You can just show up again for this free tribute concert. I look forward to seeing thousands of people from our community there on Thursday evening, and I hope that our friends in the media will help get this message out. We know it's just 2 days away, but given we approach the Thanksgiving holiday and we think about what we're thankful for this year, I think all of us have even more to be thankful for our lives, for our community. And this will be a wonderful way to, as we begin to approach the Thanksgiving and holiday season. So we'd appreciate your help in getting the message out. The others can join me. We're going to give a little bit of updates, a couple of other updates as well. This morning, we're joined by UPS Airlines President Bill Moore. Bill and his team have been mourning the loss of their colleagues. They've been working incredibly hard since the moments after this tragic crash. Bill has asked for the opportunity to provide some words this morning to the community and to Bill. I want to extend my heartfelt condolences to the entire UPS family on the tragic loss of life and on the trauma this has caused to so many of our beloved members of our 20,000+ strong UPS family here in Louisville. Please join me in welcoming Bill Moore, President of UPS Airlines.
Well, thank you, Mayor Greenberg, for this opportunity, and thank you all for being here today. I'd also like to especially thank our first responders. Jody, you and your team have been exceptional, as well as Chief Little, the Okolona Fire Department, and all the other groups that came out to support this accident. You've been exceptional. With the NTSB now completing their on-site phase of the investigation, we wanted to share how UPS has responded and how we will continue to respond in the days and months. But first, I want to express how deeply saddened I am, as well as our entire UPS community, about Flight 2976. My words cannot describe how painful it has been over the last 2 weeks. We know it's been exceptionally challenging. I can only imagine how challenging it's been for the families of the victims. Our hearts continue to be with all those that are affected. And our thoughts and prayers remain with the families who are grieving. And with everyone whose lives were shaken by what happened. We remain committed to supporting the victims' families, understanding exactly what occurred, and do everything we can to support the NTSB. I want to provide you an update on some of the many things we've been working on since the accident occurred on November 4th. Minutes after we learned about the accident, we activated our airline incident response team, and we assembled in our airline headquarters. We immediately contacted the NTSB to make them aware of the accident and begin to investigate what happened. We deployed our family assistance support team or our FAST team. This is a group of UPS volunteers who have been trained to support the victims' families. With this team, we've been in direct contact with each of the families, and we've been providing constant updates, emotional support, and including access to grief counseling and mental health resources. We've also provided financial support every step of the way. That includes financing travel, funeral expenses, and meeting the immediate needs of each family. With the support of the NTSB, we also opened up the Family Assistance Center, and this was a place for the victims to come for food, for resources, for financial assistance, really anything they needed in the immediate days after the accident. We launched our GO team, and this is a group of technical experts from within UPS Airlines that have been supporting the NTSB to try and drive towards root cause of what happened and gather the facts as quickly as possible. And at the recommendation of the manufacturer, Boeing in this case, we made the decision to voluntarily ground our entire fleet of NV-11 airplanes so we can ensure that we further inspect the airplanes to make sure they're safe for continued flight. And now to support the families of victims, survivors, and businesses affected, we've opened the Community Resource Center that will continue to assist with additional resources, mental health support, and any financial support that these families and groups may need. I'll just end with this. Our hearts ache for the victims' families, this community, and our employees. And we will continue to support all the needs of impacted by this accident, and we will do everything we can to make it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. There are still many agencies and first responders that are working hard in and around the crash site to restore safety and get folks back to work in their businesses, to reopen roads, and so much more. We're joined this morning by LG&E, by MSD, and our emergency management agency, as well as Oklahoma Fire Department, to talk about what's going on at the scene right now and some expectations for members of the public, for employees of businesses that have been impacted around the crash site, as well as business owners of those businesses as well. LG&E is one of those organizations that has been working hard around the crash site over the past 2 weeks. They are making progress, but still have more work to do in restoring electricity and gas for certain parts. Here with us this morning is Liz Pratt, Senior Director of Communications and Corporate Responsibility of LG&E, to provide an update on LG&E's work and what they are doing in the days ahead. Liz?
Thank you, Mayor Greenberg, and thank you to all of the responders and local, state, and federal agencies who have remained partners through this response effort. We know it's been an incredibly challenging time for all who were affected, for the surrounding neighborhood and for our community. And through it all, our community has come together and shown an outpouring of support in so many ways. So to start with the work that we've been doing since the crash occurred and what we're currently doing. Directly following the crash, our immediate focus was making the area safe for the emergency responders and for those in the area by de-energizing power lines and disrupting natural gas service. At that time, about 290 electric customers and 94 gas customers were affected. Since then, our focus has remained on keeping the area safe and restoring customer services. During that time, we've been replacing damaged utility poles, repairing electric infrastructure, and are in the process of replacing natural gas infrastructure. Early on, we were able to reroute power when it was safe to do so for some of our affected electric customers. And last weekend, crews replaced broken poles and damaged equipment along Grade Lane to get power restored. Currently, we have about 90 electric customers and those 94 gas customers still affected. As each area of the site has been cleared, and while cleanup efforts continue, our crews, with the support of many employees behind the scenes, have been assessing our equipment and determining what steps must occur. In many cases, that is requiring replacing and repairing equipment. So right now, our focus remains on grade lane. This is where our gas crews and business partners are replacing a damaged gas pipeline and service lines that feed from it. This is the pipeline that also delivers gas to the neighboring streets. We anticipate work along grade lane may take several weeks. Once that work is complete, our crews will then be able to make the necessary repairs along the side streets. On the electric side, as I mentioned, we were able to restore service power to Grade Lane last weekend. So our crews are now working to get service restored for customers along Melton Avenue over the next several days. Again, as cleanup efforts continue, we'll be shifting to the remaining affected areas. We're also keeping an eye on the forecast and weather that's headed our way, which could affect these timelines as well. We appreciate our customers' continued patience, and we are making every effort to restore service safely and as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Liz. MSD is helping to coordinate several local, state, and federal agencies throughout this entire process. And today, you'll hear that we're proud to announce that 95% of the oil from this incident has been contained. To provide more detail on this, the other work that MSD is working to do to protect our environment, our ground, our water, our air, we're joined by the Executive Director of MSD, Tony Parrott. Tony?
Thank you, Mayor Greenberg. And, as the mayor mentioned, there was a lot of collaborative efforts with local, state, and federal agencies and partners who have worked tirelessly to meet the challenges of this large and complex effort. As the mayor mentioned, about 95% of all the runoff that has entered some of the waterways has been captured. That equates to approximately 880,000 gallons of oily liquids and other runoff that have been removed from waterways in southwest Louisville, including in the northern ditch, the southern ditch, and Pond Creek. One of the things that I think is very important for the community to understand that it's a very complex operation. We currently have 3 locations that catch runoff that are set up with booms and skimmers. Skimmers are mechanical devices that separate oil and other contaminants from the water. At those 3 locations, along a 4.5-mile stretch of Pond Creek, with the closest at the crash site being in a nearby ditch and the farthest being in a portion of Pond Creek near Nick Rodman Legacy Park. We do know that the waterways will be impacted by the weather this week. The current rainfall will help flush some of the runoff to these collection locations. And so when you think about the ongoing operation and obviously the quick action that we took in the very beginning, we're not aware of any runoff that went further down Pond Creek. We have not seen any oil show up at sites that are close to the Salt River, or we haven't seen anything at the Ohio River. During the week of the crash, MSD did put out an advisory asking the community to avoid contact with waters in Pond Creek, the northern ditch and southern ditch, due to potentially contaminated runoff. That advisory is still in effect, and we want folks to avoid contacting waters in any way and keep your pets away from those waterways. However, for clarity, your drinking water is safe unless you have been contacted directly by Louisville Water. If you see oil or debris or discoloration in the waterway, please report that to MSD Customer Relations by calling 502-540-6000 or emailing our customer relations at louisvillemsd.org. And that is our update for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tony. As Bill mentioned earlier, and we want to continue to encourage people to go to our community resource center that has been set up nearby the airport, and it will continue to provide services to those who are impacted by this incident. We're also joined today by Jody Meiman, who's the executive director of our emergency management agencies, who's been working since the seconds following this crash, and coordinating efforts and working with all the emergency responders, the first responders, to provide an update on where we are and where we're headed over the weeks ahead. Jody?
Thank you, Mayor. You know, in emergency management, you've heard me talk a lot about it, you know, in the past. We prepare, we respond, we mitigate if possible, and we work through the recovery process. And, you know, in all the disasters we've ever had to work through, the recovery process takes the longest. It is the most challenging for us to get through. So, you know, and that's what we're doing right now. And I want to assure the businesses, I want to assure the public that, you know, there are over 100 people there daily working to get you back in your businesses, to get you back in your locations so that you can resume any kind of normalcy that you can. They're working 24 hours a day currently to do that, but they haven't stopped. But again, you've heard behind, you know, the people that have spoken before me that there is challenges that are taking place. The weather today they had to spend yesterday preparing for the weather today so that, you know, conditions do not get worse. So on a daily basis, we're presented with challenges. You know, and while the NTSB has released the site, that doesn't mean that they've released the evidence. And every piece of that aircraft has to be found, collected, and packaged and taken away properly by the contractor that's on site doing that. So, you know, because of that, we've had to create a phased approach with our cleanup and our recovery. We've got 3 phases. We've got phase 1, which is from Don Hudson Boulevard south on Grade Lane, and those businesses have been working. It's not open to the general public, but those businesses have been in their areas working, conducting businesses. Our phase 2 is north of that on Grade Lane, and you know, with the challenges presented with the amount of oil, with the amount of runoff, with the infrastructure between electric and gas repair that's taking place, that's going to take a little bit longer, and we're working through that to make that our next opening area. And then the phase 3 is on the streets, Melton and Nable and Knopp, those areas that are directly affected by the aircraft itself. So like I said, we are working diligently. There's a lot of people out there that's working very hard. You heard about the Community Resource Center. Please take advantage of that, the public, the community. There's resources there for you. You saw me on my phone just now, and we just got approved. We put an application in over a week ago through Kentucky State Emergency Management for the state business or the Small Business Association to come in, and I just got that approval. So they'll be embedded into our Community Resource Center probably by the end of the week. More to come on that. So that's a big plus, again, for our businesses to come in and get potential resources and advice on what they should do in their future as well. So like I said, just know we'll be giving weekly updates or any other, you know, anything else in between there that may pop up on the site that could cause us problems or cause the public problems. But we don't anticipate anything outside of that site taking place that could cause anywhere else to have to be affected. So like I said, we are working hard. The folks behind me and their teams are working very hard. Contractors, there's still public safety agencies that are on site. We still have representatives on site. So we will do that until this is over with and we can get all the businesses back in their locations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jody. All of us and our colleagues will continue to work incredibly hard at this to ensure safety for the future, for the entire community, for those that have been impacted. Our support will not end for those who have lost loved ones, and we will continue to move forward together, in partnership, and with strength for the whole community. Happy to take a few questions on this now from members of the media. Paul.
Yeah, the NTSB released the site, again, not the evidence, over this past weekend. The exact time period, I'm not sure, but it was over the last weekend. The time period, they have said before, it could be, over 30 days before a preliminary report, but over a year before a final report. So we're not, expecting anything there. But we are in constant communications with them, and the contractor is as well, that if they find something that it could be of any interest to them in their investigation, they're communicating with them directly. But as far as the time frame, the contractor has made significant progress along with it, but they're starting to get into an area where there's a lot more of the aircraft remains than where they had started out at. So I expect it to be a little bit more of a slow process in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, so I received a phone call from our leadership team who was at the airport within 15 minutes after the accident, telling me that what had taken place. And as I mentioned, we immediately made the calls to do what we've been trained for, what we've been planning for, and hoped that this day never came. And we assembled our incident response team at our headquarters and began to run through our checklist. As I mentioned, these last 2 weeks have been incredibly challenging and very difficult. And I can only imagine what the families of the victims have gone through as well. It's been tough, being very candid. It's been very difficult. So the grounding still remains in place. As I mentioned, we voluntarily grounded our airplanes at the recommendation of Boeing. The FAA came out with an emergency airworthiness directive the following day, in essence making that law, and that airworthiness directive remains in place. We continue to work daily with the NTSB, Boeing Engineering, our engineers, and FAA on driving to root cause and determining what that is. That's still ongoing. And once we determine that, then they'll be able to develop an inspection plan, figure out, can we go out, can we inspect it? If so, how do we repair it? How do we put it back together? And then eventually return the fleet to service. But that's not going to happen quickly. We have secured additional lift, if you will, through outside resources to help us make up the capacity difference. We feel good about what we've been able to secure to get us through the end of the year, which is really the line of sight coming up to our busy peak season. So we've also put a lot of more packages on the ground, worked with customers on different commit times and so forth, just as we continue to work through this. But we feel good about where we're going over the next 4 to 6 weeks.
2 weeks out from the time we're hearing from you.
Yeah. Well, I can assure you we've been exceptionally busy trying to take care of all the things that I briefed you on. And frankly, our first priority was making sure we took care of the victims' families and making sure that they had the resources they needed, financially, mental health-wise, all of those things. We also wanted to be respectful of those families. And it wasn't until I think Thursday of last week when the coroner announced those names. And Friday, the NTSB handed over the site. I think it was Friday to us. So it was just really out of respect for their families, all while we're doing a lot of work behind the scenes to take care of these others.
Louisville lost his mobile home. A minivan was fueled.
What I encourage all of those individuals and families and businesses impacted is to go to the Community Resource Center. We have insurance adjusters there. We have resources there. We have all of the things needed that will address their individual needs as best we can for what they require. That's going to be different for every person that comes through that door. But we are committed to making this right. Without getting into specifics, we provided financial assistance in any way, shape, or form that they needed.
question was about my previous comment that the city, in terms of reimbursing. So we are gathering all of the expenses that the city had. Oklahoma Fire is doing the same. The other first responder agencies are doing the same as well. And again, this is not going to be an immediate reimbursement. We need to gather those and confirm that they're accurate. And then we've already had initial discussions with UPS about that and how that may get reimbursed. So I don't have an answer yet for you on the timing or the details of that. We'll provide that as it comes about. But right now, we're just gathering all of the information to provide that information to UPS, and then we'll continue those conversations and we'll keep you in the loop on how that works. To be determined. Insurance certainly could play a role in how the reimbursement works, but that, again, that's UPS is looking at all of those things as well right now, and we're working collaboratively on that issue.
Well, what I can tell you is that there is a sampling plan that has been submitted by UPS and approved by US EPA, approved by the Kentucky Energy and Environmental Cabinet, and by MSD. That analysis is still ongoing. And one thing that I can tell you is that we're going to continue the analysis and the assessment and the cleanup of the waterways. And it's probably going to be something that will run well into 2026. But as far as the sampling process, there is a sampling plan, and we're awaiting the feedback on that.
It could be. I haven't exactly seen the entire document that was sent to me, but it could involve small business loans for individuals. It could, the main thing that, because they've been through this a lot across the country with different disasters, is be able to give the businesses advice on how to move forward. So more to come on that, and we'll share that with the media as soon as we get that out, and also when they'll actually be stationed at the Community Resource Center. No, not currently.
So the question was, how many customers are currently affected on Melton Avenue? So I do not have specifically the customer count down to the roads, but we are anticipating getting service restored to our electric customers along Melton Avenue over the next several days. I will say, as I mentioned, we are monitoring the forecast and how that may affect timelines, but regarding electric customers along Melton Avenue, that's the current timeline. In the next several days, so as I mentioned, crews are replacing broken poles, they're replacing damaged equipment. So as we're able to enter areas, that's the type of work they're doing. So they're first assessing damages, determining what needs to take place, and in some cases, that's been replacing damaged and broken equipment.
Just to follow up, though, that's just a small piece of it. There's, especially with Melton Avenue, Knopp Avenue, and Able, because, that involves the actual crash site itself. So the electric, while they're doing a great job, that's just a piece. There's gas issues on those roads. There's debris issues on those roads. There's environmental issues on those roads. So, like I said, that's just a box that we're checking where we can continue to move forward with the other resources that are out there, taking care of those other things.
All right, well, thank you all very much. As Jody mentioned, we'll at a minimum be providing weekly updates on all of these efforts. If there is something more urgent in nature, we will certainly continue to keep the entire community informed as soon as that happens. We thank everyone again for their support, and we encourage everyone throughout the community to join us at Whitney Hall, 7 p.m. on Thursday evening for a free Louisville Orchestra remembrance and tribute concert. Please join us on Thursday evening at 7 p.m. We'll take a 10-second break, and I'll come back with the second half talking about our legislative priorities for Frankfort. So today, I also want to share our legislative agenda for the upcoming session in the General Assembly. And this agenda for our community is driven by the same purpose that guides our work every day: to build a safer, stronger, and healthier city for every family in every neighborhood. We've built incredibly strong relationships with our partners in Frankfurt that we continue to strengthen every day.